What's up, brothers and sisters? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. A little bit of a chop day in the markets to be expected after yesterday's carnage. We are in just a weird spot in the markets, and so let's start digging into, number one, what's happening with the stock market indexes. The quantum computing stock crashed today, and then what are the trades for tomorrow that we need to be looking at? So first, let's take a look at the general market. We peaked out at December 17th, 16th, right? And we're just digesting right now. We are in that weird spot where we are over quite a bit of support, right? You get your 50-day moving average. You got all this kind of price congestion over here. But the big hairy but is that we're also under lots of different resistance. We got the bone zone. We've got, a whole hodgepodge of resistance right here. And so essentially we're just in this box, right? And so this box, essentially, it needs to kind of, clear out in some manner, whether it's up or down, to kind of get a little bit of a cleaner trade. Beyond that, on just a common sense trade, we haven't had a really good long consolidation for a little bit of time, right? The last one was in the kind of early fall where we were kind of chopping around for a little bit. And this can happen. And then we went on this huge run, right? From November to mid-December, we were on the run of runs, all right? Not just in the actual indexes, but how individual stocks were moving and how they felt like they're moving, right? We saw and felt that kind of heat, right? With stocks like Tesla going bunkers and, you had the quantum computing stocks and, Palantir, and they've all kind of peaked out around the same time. So we're having a much needed digestion. I know it's boring and sometimes even painful if you're holding long when the market does this, but you need to clear these out. Markets in general give you maybe 2 to 3 hot runs every year where you get like this kind of thing and everything just starts firing. Large caps, small caps, cool themes, sector related plays. And then you rest and chop around and you kind of build out new supports and new bases. And so we're going through that. I would be a lot more worried about the market if we start to clear below this level on the QQQs. That's about 506. And, if that happens, then of course we have some areas to back and fill over here, maybe down to the 200-day moving average, which wouldn't be necessarily the worst thing. The worst thing in trading is, when you're just stuck inside range, right? Because you try to force the action and it doesn't work. Or if you chase spikes, right? They don't work because the market's stuck in range. What I mean by chase spikes is, for example, this NVIDIA spikes up in the morning, right? And, in a hot market where you're trending over the MAs, this spike usually follows an opening range breakout and then you get a trend in, right? So on and so forth. But what happens in a different type of market, right, is that those spikes get faded off. See, you got a spike in, Tesla in the morning and it's it takes out the opening range here and it just kind of runs up and then runs into some previous levels of supply. And then it just kind of gets rugged down. And then by the time you figure out that maybe you should short, it's also too late and you rug it back the other way. So we're building out some necessary supports and the action has just changed. So a couple things, you don't want to chase spikes. You want to watch your size because it's also not just a happy-go-lucky, easy short. You never want to short, a dull market. And, as we're just sandwiched into this area, that's what we're in right now, right? We're not in necessarily a downtrend. We're not in an uptrend, at least on a short-term basis, right? We're in that, it's a sausage party, right? You're at the 8th grade dance, 10 dudes, and one chick with braces named Becky Big Legs, and everybody's wondering who's going to make the move, right? That's where we're at right now. You're in the backseat of your buddy's Volkswagen Beetle. Not right nut, you're not left nut, you're right in that middle. It's an uncomfortable spot, there's nowhere to go. So you want to be careful. Beyond that, we had, the crash in quantum computer stocks. This was down almost 50% at one point. This was all triggered on Heng Seng-Wing Jensen, the CEO of NVIDIA. I can't say his name. The CEO of NVIDIA. And, he said, hey, this is going to be a long time before these kind of things come into play. And frankly, it's not a big deal. Like this thing was $7, went to $70, $60. It made its move. That 1,000% or whatever it was, 800%. That was the move, right? Same thing, right? You get these like sound hounds and stuff like that. That was the move, right? These things are up 5x, 10x. The fun was had. Now it's time to, right, rejigger and build out bases and see what happens. And so, these quantum computing stocks, they may bounce up tomorrow. They may even bounce up for a few days. But most likely that was the top. That was the top for it for a period of time. I would be very, very surprised if these broke out the highs anytime soon. Most of these quantum computing stocks don't even do any computing, right? And most of them are going to start raising money. If they're smart, if these CEOs don't start raising money tomorrow, like excessive amounts and selling them to the retail traders, they are terrible CEOs. They should be sacked. They should be fired. Because this is a gift of a lifetime. If you're a CEO here, you got dollar stock that went to $20 and you spent years like doing nothing, dude, raise $1 billion, sell it to the Reddit crowd, and pay yourself a nice fat bonus, right? If you don't do that, then poo on you too, right? Like that's just the smart business because these guys ain't gonna. This company does less revenue than I do. Right? Like that's where they're at in their scheme of things, right? So just got to be mindful of that. So leave these things alone. I mean, if they squeeze up into some resistance spots or you have like a decent gap, say they gap up like 20% tomorrow, we'll take them down. If they just have like a little bit of a light gap or something, I'll probably just leave it alone. But let's take a look at the watch list in case something changes in the market. Say there's some type of catalyst, some type of economic news, and we get out of that chop zone on the QQQs. We've got some spots here. We got Palantir. It's sitting right at the 50-day moving average. I think that could be a decent buy for a day trade, right? Or maybe a short swing, couple days. I think you have Apple at a very, very similar spot. You're going to be retesting that breakout spot pretty quickly. So you've got this move here from 260. Maybe we try this around 240 if it gaps down or something along that end. Both of those are potentials. I've got this PANW on watch for a little rubber band long. PANW was $210. It's dropped to 170. You're sitting right at the 200-day moving average where it loves to bounce. 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, 4 tests. It did undercut for a hot second. 5 tests. You're below the lower Bollinger Band. You had a little increase in volume. This has potential. Like its 9 EMA is $10 away. And, with the split that it had, it's got a lot more liquidity now, right? So you can get in and out a lot easier. So I think any of those could be potential bounce spots. Let's talk about just pockets of strength. Twilio held up okay today. You've got a flag breakout if the market holds up. SMTC, oddly enough, right? This move was on earnings, and now it's just spent about 2 months digesting. You got an easy spot there. ROKU. Oddly enough, ROKU had a 6% day. After a nasty little, plop yesterday, you're right back into the breakout spot. Watch this kind of 85, 86 level. See if it starts to pierce through. If it does, then maybe you have something. Netflix has just been grinding down in very methodically into its 50-day moving average. Let's see if we test into it, and then maybe we'll look for a short-term sign of reversal. This stock sucks to trade, though. It really does. It doesn't do that much volume, and it trades a little bit. So just keep an eye on that, but I probably won't take it unless it just looks picture perfect. AI. If we need some shorts on some of these specky names, I think this one's got a nice, easy spot here, breaking under the 50-day moving average. Phew, can't beat that, right? I think the same thing you can do with a firm, right? You're breaking under some decent price support, a little bit of a rollover pattern. You've got UPST, right? Very similar type of looks. So keep an eye on all of those. I think that PI could be a nice little bear flag here. Pretty easy setup right there. You don't have too much to think about. You're right at that sweet spot tomorrow. My one issue on this is liquidity. It doesn't do a ton of volume, so keep an eye on it. Watch it for a spread. And then, you know what? Frankly, let's see if maybe AMD gets a little polaxed tomorrow too. This thing has been hard to trade, but, it's down 4% today. It got rugged the last couple days. It's probably got a chance to do some damage on the downside. And if we need some longs, I think this GEV is testing some decent support if it holds. We've got Roku, we've got SMTC, even like something like a VRTC. This could be something, right? You got a nice hammer candle up the 9 EMA. It's setting up pretty good. Hey, and just one specky play that I think, maybe we want to look at here is... Hold on here. I have this thing. I just had it. Dun, 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 dun. Let me see if I can find this thing. Bum, 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 bum. Damn, I just had this thing. There it is. This Edison International. I'm guessing this utility has something to do with those California wildfires. Let's see it. A huge increase in volume today, 10 times its normal. Very clean, methodical dumping today. Let's see. This one may be in play tomorrow, right? If you remember, like with, what was it, PGE? Is that still around? I forgot. The other California one, I think it was PGE or something like that. That thing got polaxed, right, when these things came out, because it's always the Malibu one, not the Malibu one, the Maui one, also polaxed, right, for a few days. This was pretty orderly today. If you're running, run your scans during the day. If you have a low day, run your scans, like see what else is moving around. You often see some news plays that maybe didn't show up in your gapper list because it didn't have the liquidity in the morning, or sometimes if some of these stocks only do 20, 30,000 shares in the morning in the pre-market, so you don't always see them on the scan. And just do a quick look, because you see something like this, you can take a midday bear flag or something along that end. So let me know if you guys need any help with anything. Good luck to you guys. Go shred tomorrow, and let's go have some fun. This is not the time to be a hero. We've been talking about this for 3-4 days now, right? There's a little bit of a deflation in the bubble of some of these wild names, right? Starting with the quantum computing stocks. But look, even Oklo got dusted today, right? And then he got, down 11%. And so be careful. The spec money, after that JOLTS report has come out a little bit, we need to be careful. Like, this is not the time to just be a hero. There's a time and place to really, right, put your balls on the kitchen table while speed chopping carrots, and this is not it. You take your scalps, today, dude, I took maybe 4 trades. Dollar here, dollar there, and, you take what you can get, and, right, you move on and you take off. There's just times where you trade for income, and then there's times you, right, go for it. This is just probably an income market till the range on this QQQs resolves itself, all right? I love you guys. Peace. Let me know if you need anything. Adios, muchachos.